In the last lecture, we learned a few things about color grading and why we use it. In this video, we will be taking our first step in editing or color grading in Lightroom, which is profile. What is profile? Lightroom uses profile to determine how to interpret or how to display different tones and colors of our image. By default, we have Adobe Color. Lightroom uses this profile to interpret different colors and tones for our images in Lightroom. But by clicking in this button, we will have another list of profiles that we could choose from. They are Adobe Landscape, Neutral, Portrait, and Vivid. We see that when clicking on them, our photo changes drastically. Because when we change the color profiles, Lightroom starts to interpret the colors and tones of our image differently, as you're seeing in this example. The newer versions of Lightroom has a lot more of color profiles. How to access them? We use this button, click to show profile browser. When clicking on it, Lightroom will open another panel which we see as profile browser. And here we see a lot of other color profiles which is present in the Lightroom by default. The ones that we saw in the pop-up list was this Adobe Raw. And we saw color, landscape, portrait, vivid. By hovering over different profiles, we see the results are displayed in our image. Beside this Adobe Raw, we have other profiles too. The next one is camera matching. In this category, we have the profiles that are best matched with our camera, and we see the first one is faithful and landscape, portrait, neutral, and standard. Each of them interprets the colors differently and they display different colors or different tones. Lightroom has these three options to artistic, modern, vintage. Each of them interprets colors differently. In the artistic section, we have these artistic looks and we can choose them if you like. When we click on them for the artistic color profiles, we will have these sliders enabled. What this slider does is it controls the intensity of color profile. You see we can change the intensity to 200 and also reduce it to 0. The slider will only be activated if we use these three categories. For example, if you use the camera raw, this slider will be deactivated. Similar to that, you can see experiment with these color profiles, see which one you like and which one you don't like. For example, I like this artistic #1 color profile. I can add it to my favorite list by clicking in this star, add to favorites. And let's say I like this one also. I'll add it to my favorite list. And we see that in the favorites, we have that color profiles. By default, the Adobe Raw profiles are added into favorites. We can remove a profile from favorite list by clicking on the star again. And that color profile will be removed from the favorite list. By adding a profile to a favorite list, we'll be also adding a shortcut to it in this pop-up menu. See that in the beginning we didn't have artistic 1 and 5, but now when we added them to our favorite list, we have them in here. And by clicking on it, we will be accessing it. And the sliders will also appear just below it. The next thing in here is a sorting system. By this, we can tell Lightroom which profiles to show us. The all option shows all of the present profiles that exist by default or the ones that we added. The next one, color, shows only profiles that works with the color images. And the third one, BMW, only shows the profiles that works with black and white image, as we are seeing in here. We can change the view of the profiles by clicking on this button, which is by default grid. We can choose it to large. It will show a large sample of the color profile preview and list. It will just show the names and we will see the results by hovering on them. And at the top, we have this plus button. The first option is import profiles. And we can also import external color profiles ourselves, and we can use it by this button. The next one is manage profiles. You can hide or display the profiles that are hidden by default by this manage profiles. For example, this legacy wasn't existed before. I will add it back and I will hide this vintage category. And we see that the legacy is added and the vintage category is deleted. I will add them back because we will need it and save. So that was it for this video, and I hope you have learned something. See you in the next video.